Yeah, thanks. My name is Michael, recovering addict.
Michael.
Apologies for being late. Thanks, Raphael, for asking me. Thanks, Raphael, for taking the meeting and everyone that does service here. And yeah, really, it's interesting. I was driving down here and I didn't know what this meeting was. It was the first time I've been in this actual meeting. And as I was driving, because I live in North London now, and so I was coming away from Crouch End and driving, and then went through Hackney, and then I started. Oh my gosh, drove through my old stomping ground in Clapton, and started driving out, and I'm just following the sat nav, and then I get to Stratford, and and my wife calls me. I said, babe, I'm just full of a lot of gratitude. I said, well, I'm just driving past the probation office in Stratford. They're the ones that got me into treatment, and then I'm driving, and then I come here, and I, just kind of lots of different memories because I used to use in this area, and then I parked up around there, and I've come in, and I see people who really who mean a lot to me, who were here in my early days, who paved the way for my recovery, I like to honour the newcomer definitely, but I like to honour the predecessors, the guys that are still here, man, because it gives me hope. It tells me that this program still works. It tells me this program still works. That I see them still here, and I'm very grateful to Narcotics Anonymous. This program's completely changed my life. It saved my life, along with the God of my understanding and you guys. Because without you guys, I have nothing. And without the God of my understanding, I have nothing. Without this program, I have nothing. So I'm truly indebted, and I mean that, indebted to this program. I'll share on a respect the meeting, on a respect the topic. That's what I've learned to do in my time in Narcotics Anonymous. That you guys set a topic, and my job is to share my experience, strength, and hope on the fifth step. And my understanding of the fifth step, when I walked into Narcotics Anonymous, I saw it on the wall, and I wanted to dive into it immediately. I just wanted to talk. I didn't understand it. I just thought, fifth step, right. I want to do it, And sometimes it is quite tricky sharing about a particular step without mentioning the other, but I'll mention it briefly. Because the fourth step, when I first came in, a lot of people were sharing about the fourth step, that it was quite a scary thing to do. I don't hear it much now these days, which is good. But I heard people talking about the fourth step, that it was scary. It was the boogeyman, it was the monster, blah, 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 blah. But I just wanted to kind of confess everything to everybody. I weren't interested in that. I just, my sponsor, the literature tells me just to keep writing, not to worry about the fifth step. I got confused. I thought the fifth step was the fourth step. I thought the fifth step was the fourth step. I didn't understand it. And as time's gone on, I got to understand that the fifth step is a separate step on its own. And when I got ready to share this with my sponsor, I'll never forget, he lived in Camden at the time, and I went up to his house, and I was shaking like a leaf. And I walked upstairs to his house, and we got it open, and he sat there, and he was early back then himself. He sat like a counsellor. He closed his leg, crossed his legs, and I sat opposite him, and I started reading. I started reading this like long list of like a confession of what I've done and everything, and he had a good understanding of the program. To be honest, he was early, but he had a good understanding of the program. So it doesn't really matter how new someone is. It's about the firm understanding of how this program works. And I started reading my fifth step to him, and he started like writing things on the side, and I didn't understand what that was about. I was confused, and there was parts of my fifth step as I started reading. I said, I don't know if I can tell this man this. Like, I knew it was coming. There was stuff in it. I said, I don't know. In my mind, the disease was telling me, don't share this with him. Just skip it. And I would skip out bits of it. Then I said, look, I need to come back because I need to tell you this. And I'll share a particular thing with him. And that's why they say the powerful tool is the recovering addict. Because by the time I did that, guess what he done? He shared his experience with me. Just melted the room. But I suffer with a disease that's very self-centered, judgmental, and I started judging him now. He shared things, and I'm judging him, and I continue to embark on this journey. And my understanding of the fifth step really is like really looking at parts of me that I'd never ever looked at before. I'd never ever looked at these parts. Writing it was one part, but actually looking at it was another part. And I think for me, the looking at it was the reading, and it wasn't a long affair. It wasn't a drawn out thing. It wasn't nothing, you know. The moment I shared some of the things that I was really scared about sharing, you know, it just felt okay. I started feeling a lot more comfortable in the room and started really kind of working with him through it. And I asked him, what was it? What was it that you were writing on the side of this paper? I asked him, and he goes, I'm writing your defects. I'm writing your defects. And I was like, yeah, I don't understand. I said, defects? Because I hadn't got to that part yet. I didn't understand it, you know, and, you know, lo and behold, I got to kind of find out what that was about. But I guess, you know, I think as time's gone on, you know, I've done various different fifth steps and they've been different each time, you know. My sponsor at the time, he moved to a different part of the world. So I had to find another sponsor. And I was sponsorless for a period of time. And then I eventually found a sponsor. But in that time, I was off the wall, man. I wasn't too great. I was doing illegal stuff. I was putting on parties. I was like selling laughing gas in these parties, you know, and you know, early morning parties, and I was doing festivals. I was just focused on trying to make money, you know. I didn't really care. And for the grace of God, I didn't use, man. Honestly, it was just really scary time. But you know, I knew I was really unwell, man, and I needed to do some work. So I got this guy, and we went back through it, the steps again. And but this time, it was different. This time, that fifth step was. The first one was difficult. Don't get me wrong. First time round, but the second was extremely hard, because this time I've had recovery now. I've got some recovery. I've got some clean time. I've got some awareness. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing things, man. I've been doing some real, you know, underground things, you know, and I got right by it. And this time the awareness, because I know what's coming, and because I know what I've got to do, because some of them, you know, staying on the fifth step, speaking about this, I know some of them I've got to make amends, I've got to get honest, I've got to, you know, there's lots of stuff I've got, I know there's more work, so it became more difficult, if that made sense, and it took me a bit more longer to even get to the fifth step with this guy. And when I met with him, different guy, complete different opposite from me. Got such a really good sponsor as well. And when I read it to him, you know, I read everything that I'd kind of been up to, kind of shared with him, and he goes, Michael, you know what you got to do. You know what you got to do now, you know. And I think for me, it's always been that springboard, the fifth step. It's an action step, isn't it? It's a springboard. Like each step is an action, you know. And when you get to the fifth step, it's like, for me, it's an extra step now to move even forward, to have that freedom and recovery, you know. And as time went on, you know, again, you know, I put all that down. I thank God I put all the rave stuff down, and I trained and got, you know, went to school and got educated and done all that stuff, and you know, and I was working in a particular field at the time as well, and just enhanced my skills in that area. And then I went into the private sector, and as I was getting into the private sector, COVID hit, you know, and you know, it's funny because when I share now, I realize how easy it is to become an unwell in Narcotics Anonymous. It's very simple. It's not hard. It's not complicated. It's very, very easy, you know. And I hear lots of stories. People say you don't need to do the step. You only can do it once. You don't need to do it twice. I think everyone, you come here, do it. I love the green and gold, because it makes it very simple. It tells you work it any way you want to, but just do it, and don't do it alone. Do it with someone, a sponsor. You know, that's the beauty. And so that time, so during that time again, just a bit unwell again, and I got into an argument with this guy I was working here with, and I share this stuff just for identification purposes and just to let people know that, you know, my journey has been one of, you know, up and down. And I was working in Hackney in this addiction service, and I had a very good position as a manager. And I used to get into arguments with this nurse. We used to banter, but the banter just went a bit far. Does that make sense? And one day he said something to me, and I just completely lost it. I can't remember what happened. Honestly, it was like a complete shutdown, and I just ended up, you know, picking up. I had a bottle like a glass bottle on my table, drinking water. I picked it up and I chased him round the office to hit him with it. It's not a joke. And people kept holding me back. They said, Michael, stop. And we're talking like a professional service, you know. And people goes, I can't believe it's not like, I heard people in the background, it's not like you, that's not like you. And that really hit me because that wasn't like me, you know. And I just sat on my desk. It was an open plan office and I sat on my desk. And I just knew I was done for. I just got up and just left. I got in my car and I left and they told me, don't come back, you're suspended, you know. And again, I knew I had to do more work, man. I knew I had to go back and went back. But this time I met with a group of individuals online because meetings went back onto line, went online back then, meetings shut down. And I met with a group of individuals from a different part of the world. And, you know, we embarked on the steps again, step one. And this was different this time again because, you know, normally I did the steps with a man and it's one-on-one. But this was a group. And there was women in there, and then, you know, the guy, I don't want to lead it, he goes, are you willing to go to any step, willing to go to any lengths? And I thought, yeah, I am, but I don't know I'm going to share stuff with this lot in here. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Again, my head always goes to the fifth step, because I know this level of huge vulnerability and honesty that's got to come out, you know. And it's such a loving group, man. They held me, that group. I love them to bits, man. They held me for so many years, you know, and during that time, you know, my mum passed away. It was a very difficult time. I was very close to my mum, very, very close. I cared for her before, and then she died. And the group held me, you know, and I did my fifth step. And it was such a loving thing, you know, such a caring, loving thing when I read it out in that group, you know. So I guess I share about the fifth step. I've done it in so many different ways, you know, and God willing, I'll do it more in different when the time arises, I guess, you know. Where am I now in my recovery, you know, kind of at that place again, if I'll be honest. Not as crazy, I'm going to be honest, not as crazy, thank God. There's a huge level of sanity, but I guess challenges is of really dealing with life on life terms. That's my truth, really, if I'll be honest. I'm very heavily involved in Narcotics Anonymous. I've got a home group. I take meetings and I've got a sponsor. Don't call him that much, I've got to be honest with you. And he cusses, he has a go at me all the time. But I'm part of a book study group and we're very close. And we share very intimately about stuff, and we've gone through, well, we just read step 5 at the basic text together and we share our experience on it. So we've gone through the steps, through the basic text, and now we're at the stories. And we meet once a week. It's about 5, 6 of us. It's not an NA meeting, it's a book study. We come together and we share intimately for about that time. I'm still all right to go here. Yeah, cool. Just let me know. No worries. Yeah. And yeah, we share intimately and we share deeply about life and what's going on. But I guess where I'm at is that life on life terms. You know, I run a business and I have people that work for me, and the challenges that come with that is very hard because I don't know anything. Narcotics Anonymous is what's shown me how to live. So I have to keep referring here and in the 11th step as well, you know. And I work, me and my wife run the business. My wife's not in recovery. And it's a challenge because, you know, when things get tricky and difficult, I don't know how to manage it at times. You know, I still have this head that complicates things, and I don't keep it simple, you know. But the last couple of months, I've had to, you know, demonstrate faith and trust that everything's going to be okay, you know, and not waver from that, but just continue to put, you know, that when we say we put one foot in front of the other, that's what I've been doing on a regular basis in the last couple of weeks, just putting one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. Before that, let me just share quickly. Before that, I think, so when my mum died 2 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, my mum died. And when she died, because I said to her, I cared for her for a while, and I haven't shared this much, but I need to share it quickly if you don't mind. Like, when she passed away, I looked after her, me, my brother, my sister, and I went to see her in the hospital before, like, 1 minute she's fine, like, even though I was caring for her, 1 minute she's fine in the hospital, and then I went away. The next day I went to come to visit her, and she weren't there, and then when it's her anniversary next week as well, so maybe that's why I'm sharing about it more now. And when I went home, and when I came back, she weren't there, and then like I said, "Where's my mum?" Like, and they said, "Oh, she's going to do an MRI scan." And when she came back, her body was moving funny. I said, "Like, she ain't alright." They said, "Oh, it's a shock from the MRI." I said, "No, that's not no shock." But I just wanted to I trusted the healthcare professionals, isn't it? I said, "Okay." It's only reason, then they realised there was something really detrimental happened. Anyway, cut long story short, she went into a coma. She passed away. She went, right? Acknowledged, and then she passed away. Then we did the funeral. Then I went away on holiday, and I came back. But I noticed every single time, just before I went holiday, I'll have these symptoms. Like, I said to my wife, "Babe, my heart feels a bit dodgy. I'm something ain't right. I gotta go and get checked out." And then like, my head, I'm getting these headaches. Let me go get checked out. And that's what I did. I visited, no word of a lie, so many private hospitals and clinics and GPs and doctors and second opinions because I constantly thought I'm dying, like constantly. Mm-hmm. And then I went to see one doctor one day. This doctor is like, he looked, because I've been to the local hospital so many times, and then like, they did the kind of triage, and I thought, why am I not going to see like the doctor? They put me in some next room like with people, day patients coming in. I thought, what's going on here? I want to see a proper doctor. And the doctor looked at me, he goes, "What can I do for you today?" I said, he just closed the file, he goes, "Listen mate, you got health anxiety." And I said, "What?" I said, "What?" He said, "You got health anxiety." And that hit me, man. That hit me. And I said, "What am I going to do?" He said, "You're going to have some therapy." So I went into therapy and started speaking to psychologists and started to heal from this health anxiety, man. That's what happened. For the grace of God, it's got a lot better, you know. And at the time I hit 50. The thing I'm trying to share is that, you know, there was that, through that process in time, you know, I wasn't so much connected with the program, you know, and it just really drove me back in, you know. So I guess what I'm saying, whenever I'm faced with a little challenge or a crisis, I know where to come back. I come home. I come home, you know, and I respect the time, and I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you.